mine, had a breakfast, heard a lot of things. I want to talk about debt relief. What exactly is debt relief? What exactly is Free trying to achieve through our innovative debt relief solutions? How we are customer centric and how we are trying to bring a unique value to the lending ecosystem as well. So first thing first, two premise or two base facts that I've understood from my 2 days. By the way, thanks to the organizers for this wonderful summit. Had a lot to learn and very appreciative of that. So two things. One, nobody is a willful defaulter. That's good to hear. That's very heartening to hear. And second, I think we're all agreed to the fact that we want to adopt humane and empathetic way to resolve debts. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I want to start with what Freed is and what is debt relief. We are a customer-centric platform. We work with the lenders, but being borrower-centric. By customer-centric, what does it mean, right? We are in an industry where when a debt goes bad, we come into play. And essentially, to make debt relief work, one of the most important things is intent. Intent of the borrower to resolve the debt. And the second and the most important is, what is the capacity of the borrower? Obviously, the fact that he's in default, we know that there is a limited capacity of what he can pay. And right off the blocks, when a borrower approaches Freed, the first thing is to check the intent because he has come to the platform to seek debt relief, to seek resolution from his debt, to seek happy life again, happiness again, after being tired of, being in debt and not finding a way to come out of it. And of course, the capacity of the guy, the capacity of the borrower who has gone into default. Again, not because he willfully wants to default, but life just happened to him. I mean, it could be a job loss, could be a business loss, could be, a change in family condition, pay cut, whatever it may be. The fact that it's a pull proposition. We're obviously attracting borrowers with a strong intent to become debt-free. And how do we go about it? Just to give you an idea of, what's a typical borrower that we are seeing? A typical borrower that we're seeing coming on our platform is with 6 or 7 credit lines. And now these are unsecured credit lines between personal loans, credit cards. And just the amount of heterogeneity that we are seeing on our customer base is very typical of this borrower who has gone into one debt, taken another loan to repay the other debt, and then gone into other loan, typically loan stacking that we are seeing increasingly. And I do believe that, there is a pyramid of lenders that we see, right? Starting from the PSUs, top tier lenders, and then of course come the top tier NBFCs. And then, of course, we are looking at the bottom of the pyramid where we have new age fintechs and app loans. And the psychology of debt, the way we are seeing, understanding this customer base, is that while he starts off with a creme de la creme top tier loan, and when he's seeing a squeeze come in, and while he's still credit worthy, he's going ahead and taking another loan from an NBFC where he can barely manage the repayments. And then further, he goes into a hardship and then goes into this loan stacking, taking small ticket size loans from app loans or wherever he could get his hands on, right? Eventually kicking the can for too long enough and only to be, seeing his back against the wall where he's going into default. And again, the heterogeneity of the defaults, right? We are seeing a borrower with 180 days on one of the lender, 60 days with the other lender, 30 days with the other lender. And now why is it happening? Because, we all know the answer. Just like not all lenders are have the same collection practices, they don't have the same APRs as well. The load on the borrower, the debt servicing ratio on the borrower is very different across the loan segments. At Freed, we do believe that everyone deserves a second chance. And that second chance is the lifeboat that we are able to offer to these borrowers with a very holistic relief. And holistic relief is a level playing field for all the lenders. Once a borrower approaches us, the process, the way it goes about is once we ascertain the hardship, once we ascertain what is the debt situation that the borrower is in, what was the reason for hardship, what is the money that he can set aside every month to become debt free, and how we go about doing that is set up an escrow account for each borrower. And once an escrow account is opened, the borrower does an e-natch or a monthly deposit every month into that account, and we use the same money to resolve the debt with the lenders. So far in a very small journey with Freed, thousands of accounts have been resolved across the lenders, and across 300,000 borrowers have been enrolled on the platform with almost 1,500 crores in debt. And we've just got getting started. Of course, financial literacy to the borrower, hand-holding to the borrower is extremely important. The stage at which a borrower approaches us, he's down and out in his life with a very strong intent to resolve the debt, but nobody to help him him out. He's dealing with 6 or 7 different collection agencies, some settlement notices, barely no option or not being given an option to resolve his debt. While few lenders do help out by offering him a solution, but it's a piecemeal relief because not every lender is offering him that. And that's what Freed is trying to do, offer a holistic debt relief to these borrowers by approaching the lender so they can partake in this holistic debt relief for the borrower. What is in it for the lender? Of course, I've already covered that. A level playing field where we try to holistically resolve the debt for all the borrowers. Zero cost. We remain borrower-centric. A typical borrower coming to us is already past write-off or approaching write-off. There is no cost associated with the lenders. All we seek is, a deallocation of the accounts that are enrolled with us and a full access to the escrow account where the borrower is saving money. So you can get into instant settlements or instant resolution with a resolution queue established, for all the borrowers who are coming with us. Being lender agnostic means we are not favoring any particular lender. We are looking at the credit mix of the borrowers, in terms of what is the allocation every lender has, and absolute fair and transparent reallocation of the funds. Of course, a brand equity enhancer, because what we are trying to do here is also a humane and empathetic side of the lender that we want to present to the borrowers. And believe me, that has a lot of value. We have seen lenders who are offering this help to the borrower where the borrowers are extremely, full of gratitude for those lenders, and that relationship is maintained. But because I think that's what we are all talking about, empathetic approach to the borrower, because eventually this borrower is going to be re-included in the ecosystem. And that's what we have done for thousands of such borrowers. Why debt relief? I'll not take a lot of time into this. We are already seeing, a mammoth growth in unsecured lending in the form of credit cards, and personal loans. With almost our household debt reaching 40%, which is just at a 15% credit penetration. And that's what bothers me, because I've been a part of the US debt relief industry, having done $2 billion in debt in the US with an 80% household debt to GDP ratio, and with a credit penetration of almost 100%. What we are seeing in India is a large reliance on unsecured loans, consumption loans, newer forms of credit that are evolving, which is where borrowers are entering with eyes wide shut. Of course, the net household savings have been at an all-time high with a 5.1% of the GDP, which is at the lowest of the 5 decades. The third and the most important, right, is the nature of the loans which these borrowers are eventually taking. Some of the new age fintechs are these small ticket size personal loans, eventually running into very high APR and shorter repayment periods, which further impairs the debt servicing ratio of these individuals. And of course, the staggering number of 33% of the total household debt, which is into unsecured loans, which is a little alarming. How we're trying to resolve this, of course, is educating the borrower as well that the solution is not to take new loans to repay. While you can take new loans if you're still current, but don't fall prey to loan sharks where they are taking these small loans and very smaller duration loans, eventually adding to the the debt repayment capacity of these borrowers. Why now? Again, extremely young nation, 65% of our population below 35. A lot of aspirational borrowing that's actually meeting easy access to credit that I believe is creating a problem, for our 1 out of 3 millennials, 2 out of 5 Gen Zs, we are seeing brush with debt, whereas, some over-leveraging that's happening. Of course, rapid growth in consumer lending on the unsecured loans at a CAGR of 20% over the last 5 years, pretty much. One of the things that I believe, we could do as an industry, is assessing the real-time financial situation of these borrowers. While he didn't have the intention to go into default, but what is actually causing this financial distress to the borrower, right? Did we assess, is it a loss in income? And are we assessing the data in terms of his real income proof and his expenses? And that is something that we do at Freed proudly. We look at the assessment of last 6 months of his income and expenses to validate that the hardship is real. And there is a trend of this borrower missing on the payments and how is he missing on the payments before we actually offer him a budget in terms of what he can save and where he should save. I'll just move to the quickly. So our journey so far, I've already covered it. My management team and I, we have spent a decade plus in the US in this industry, did over $2 billion in consumer debt, enrolled and settled. Just to give you a size of the US market, it's about $50 billion last year alone. And that is almost 3% of the total unsecured loans outstanding. And this is a pretty established industry with more than 100 players in this, with the top 5 taking almost 60% market share, with about $15 billion in debt that was resolved last year alone through debt relief platforms. So there is a huge potential that we are trying to unlock here as well, and make a win-win for the lenders and the borrowers both. It's a digital solution. A borrower coming to us, we're assessing the credit, ascertaining the debt that he has, and making sure that there is an affordability. Because I believe one of the challenges that we often struggle here is matching the intent with the capacity of the guy to pay. Without knowing how many credit lines does he have, if he pays me, will he be able to pay me tomorrow? And that is something that we were seeing missing in the ecosystem, which we're trying to resolve. And by offering it through a holistic debt relief platform, because transparency is going to be the key. I don't want to be or at Freed, we don't want to make it a complete borrower-centric without being lender-agnostic, not concerned about the balance sheet of the lenders. We do understand that there was a money that was lent, and there was a money that was lent which has not come back. So collection has to be made, but let's be a little empathetic to the situation of the borrower and also appreciate the intent of the borrower. Unique two products that we have created. While a debt resolution program is for someone who's deeply delinquent. We are talking as much as 180 days in delinquency, who has shown a resolve to repay his debt and has limited capacity. And for this consumer, it's a structured debt relief program where he's saving money in the trust, in an escrow, and it's being channeled to the lenders. And the second one is debt consolidation program, and that's actually at a prevention stage for these borrowers. Because what we're also seeing is there is a lot of revolving of credit cards that's happening. There's a lot of BNPL and new age loans that have come in, which are actually increasing the blended APR on a borrower's indebtedness to as high as 37-38%. And what we do here is we work with few lenders where we are able to actually bring down his entire loan obligation by offering him one single loan with the means and purpose defined up front at a much lower APR with a little higher tenure, bringing him a 30% relief. And these borrowers. It's a very unique differentiated product because most of them have a debt to income ratio or a FOIR of 80-85%. So it's a very unique product where we'd go into the income details, a special purpose loan, no cash out given to him, again money in the escrow being paid out or closed out existing all lines and giving him one single EMI every month to pay. And happy to inform you, we have thousands of borrowers on the consolidation side and about tens of thousands of borrowers on the resolution side. So at Freed, it is not all about salvaging bad debts. We are also trying to address this problem at the prevention stage. Some global parallel, I will not spend too much time, but just to give you an idea of how big the industry is, almost $50 billion out of the $1.7 trillion unsecured debt, more than 5 players. As you can see the numbers here, almost $12 to $15 billion resolved last year alone. Growth trajectory, we are on a very high growth trajectory here and trying to capture a part of written off debt or stressed debt, looking at almost at $2.5 to $3 billion over the next 5 years. Win-win for the lenders, the way we look at it, of course, enhancing brand equity, partake in this innovative and human approach of resolving debt, through understanding the borrower better.